Hello, hi, welcome to my first video lecture on all about factoring. In this short lecture, I will explain the purpose of factoring and the difference between factoring and solving. Okay, so what is the purpose of factoring? The main reason for factoring is you're literally finding the x-intercept or singular x-intercept or plural for a specific polynomial. So that's really what you're going to do. If your teacher ever asks you to factor, you're most likely finding the x-intercept. And when your professor asks you to factor, you will now understand you'll most likely find the x-intercept of a polynomial, linear function, quadratic function, and other graphs. So you're so the next step would be actually solving that, graphing that graph. Yeah, eventually you'll graph those functions. Okay. So here is a polynomial. So as you can see, it's good to know your factoring rules because you can find the x-intercepts. It will help you find the x-intercepts. So you have an x-intercept at -3, 2, and 5. So in your algebra class, you're going to have to graph this polynomial, and you need everything. You need to know the x-intercepts, end behavior, y-intercepts, where it crosses or bounces the x-axis. So yeah, this is definitely going to help when helping your upper level algebra course. Okay. Then here's an example of a linear line. Uh, we're not going to do we're not going to do any linear lines, but I just want to show you that if you know how to find your x-intercept, you can find your x-intercept of a linear line, and you have one at 1. So this is all only about polynomials. And here you have a rational function, and you do have, as you can see, you have an x-intercept at like 2.5 and 3.5. And then here is a quadratic. It's a U-shaped parabola, and as you can see, you have an x-intercept here and here. Yeah, we're also a polynomial is technically a quadratic, so you might see a quadratic in somewhere in the lecture. Yeah, so let's know what is the difference between factoring and actually solving. So I get this a lot. What is sometimes your teacher will say, can you please factor this polynomial completely? Or sometimes your teacher will ask you, please solve. So factoring is going to be in a form of parentheses. For example, x plus parentheses x plus 5 parentheses x minus 2 raised to the second power times parentheses x minus 4. So when you're factoring, it's going to be in this form. And then when you're actually solving it, you're actually finding the x-intercept or the solution. For example, x equals 5, x equals 4. So when you solve for it, you're actually going to get a number. So so now you know the difference. Factoring is, it's going to be, your final answer will be in parentheses. And solving it is when you actually get an x value. So how do you, it's just an extra step. Once you have it in factor form, you can actually find the solution or find the actual x-intercept. So you simply set y to 0 and solve for x. So for example, let's stick with this polynomial. So once you have it in the most factored form, and let's say they want you to solve for it, you simply set y to 0. When you actually solve for x, some people can see that it's actually going to be -5, +2, and +4. If you can't see it, what you can do is set each equation to 0 and solve for x. So we actually have 3 parts. So you can the first part would be like x plus 5, set it to 0. x minus 2 square, set it to 0, and then x minus 4, set it to 0. And then you know how to solve for x. You just have to subtract 5, get rid of this power 2 by raising it to the 1/2, and then adding 2. So that's how you got 2. And then over here, you would add 4. Okay. So yeah, that's the difference between factoring and solving. So it's good to know. Okay. Let's move on to the next section. Okay, actually, we'll stop here. The next video will be a quiz. Thank you. Bye-bye.